A high-speed link consists of four main components: a serializing transmitter driver, a communication channel, deserializing receiver samplers, a deserializer with the timing recovery. Mind you, you still have a timing generation called a PLL needed to generate the timing points. Now let us look at what are the link performance limitations that we see in high-speed links. Several factors limit the performance of high-speed links: non-ideal channel characteristics, bandwidth limits of transceiver circuitry, and the noise from the power supply, crosstalk, clock jitter, and the various device mismatches in the system. Eye diagrams are a qualitative measure of link performance. If you look at the random bit stream shown over here, you would see that the high indicates one symbol and the low indicates another symbol. And you would see there are no clear sharp transitions. There are more continuous smooth transitions. These give rise to an eye diagram where the opening in the eye is directly proportional to the quality of the link. Realistically, you would see that the eye looks different as shown here. You would see that the widths of the eye are greater than normal, and the eye also has a certain height restriction with respect to it. This is attributed to the various smooth slopes shown in the previous random bit stream. Bandwidth limitations in the channel is one of the dominant causes, and this in effect give rise to an inter-symbol interference or ISI. On the left hand side, you would see the frequency domain plot where it shows a gain roll off happening at the frequency, and as the gain rolls off, the amount of energy that is going to be present in the signal also reduces. Equivalently, you would see the time domain response of the same pulse. For example, let us consider sending a short pulse of 25 picosecond at the input on the input side of the channel. At the output of the channel on the receiver side, you would see a response similar to the blue line. The blue line shows a peak having at the center of the pulse, but the rest of the pulse tail having a significant signal present on the neighboring symbols. Now, if you would overlap this red color graph right adjacent to it, you would see that there is an additional presence over here. This is the signal energy being transferred to the adjacent symbol. This is called the inter-symbol interference. You do not want to have a symbol interference present in the signal because it would affect the next symbol, and this is called the tail end of the data symbol, which tails off, affecting neighboring symbols. If you could check here, there are additional symbols that this is affecting here. This would be the second symbol, this would be the third symbol, this would be the fourth symbol, this would be the fifth symbol, this would be the sixth symbol. If you can see, one single pulse is affecting the output of the oncoming 5 symbols at least. This particular case is called inter-symbol interference. Though you might see that the third, fourth, and fifth do not have a very significant contribution, the first and second symbols will get affected. Assuming the next data is not a 1 and a 0, then this additional symbol can be read as a 1 and can cause false reading in your system. To overcome that, a solution was placed that placing a high pass filter in the signal path can counter the roll-off effects of the channel. In that case, what was effect done was a pre-emphasis on the transmit side equalization was used. This is used to counter the impact of the symbols present after the channel. If you could see in the left hand side figure, you would, before the pulse and after the pulse, you would see some kind of data or energy or signal voltage being present in the amplitude. If an inverse of that signal is sent beforehand, then the effective output signal would come without the dispersion or a spread in the time pulse. So the black color graph here shows with equalization, and the blue color graph shows the impact without equalization. The amount of difference between the blue lines and the black lines is the effect that the pre-equalization signals are causing on the system, and this benefits signal recovery in the later stages of the channel of the system. A quick look at the various sources of noise. We will not be going in detail, but we will at least be mentioning where the types of noise that could be present in the system. Power supply noise. Power supply noise typically translates into the voltage and timing uncertainty as the clocking system. Crosstalk appears at the near end and far end, which occurs due to high frequency coupling. Clock jitter, the timing uncertainty in transmitted and sampled symbols. Probabilistic distribution of timing edges, which are both bounded and have unbounded components. Device mismatches and systemic offsets are present, and they can cause deterministic or systemic variation in the timing edges